morning, Clovis. This is the best view. This is just awesome. It's nice to see everybody here so bright and early. Thank you for choosing to start your day with us. I'm going to go off my script, which makes these folks really nervous, but I want to do two things. One is I want to call out a person that Nathan already introduced, but I want to just give a special Clovis thank you to Dr. John Welty. John has led Fresno State in an amazing way, the longest president in school's history. He has personally coached me through some tough times a few years back, and so I am grateful to John as a friend. But John has done as much for this region as anyone else, and Clovis has benefited from his leadership. I have tried over the years to annex Fresno State into our city unsuccessfully, but maybe when the new president comes, they won't actually notice, and we could do it then. So please join me in giving a Clovis thank you to John Welty. We are going to miss you. I get really attached to people, so I'm feeling a little nostalgic about that. I also want to find John and Carol Rice. I see Carol in the back. She's hoping I don't find her. John, where are you? John, you're not shy. Right here. Usually at the end of these, we recognize the people that do all the work to make this happen. So today I'm going to just start with recognizing John and Carol for all the work. I understand you did, underline the word, all of the organizing and planning of this event. So for your continued service to our community, thank you so much. I'm feeling a little insecure. Literally every person to a T asked me this morning how long I was going to talk. So I don't know if you think I talk a lot. That could be. I figure if I talk long enough, you can just go from this event to the State of the City luncheon in Fresno, and you won't have to go to work. So I was planning to talk until about 11:15. Is that okay? Just kidding. So let me get started. Clovis' second century is underway, and my council colleagues and I are honored to present the State of the City report to you this morning. In large measure, where we are today has everything to do with where we started, and I'd like to tell you just a bit about that story as we begin. Clovis Station was built by the San Joaquin Valley Railroad on a right-of-way along the boundary dividing the farmlands of Clovis Cole and George Owen in 1891. This is going to be a long speech if I'm starting in 1891. This happened just as the downturn in the economy hit that hurt our local crops and subsequently forced the railroad sail to Southern Pacific. By 1894, a flume was completed and rugged young men began felling timber in the Sierra Nevada, and Clovis came to life, energized by logs flowing through the flume, saws powered by steam just a few hundred yards from where we sit right now, and families committed to defeating a bad economy by creating success for themselves, their neighbors, and their new community. In 1912, Clovis became an incorporated city. Despite the difficult economic times of that day, the state of the community was strong and growing then, and in a similar cycle, I am pleased to say that the state of the city of Clovis is strong and growing now. On behalf of your city council, we can tell you without hesitation and with humility and pride that Clovis is experiencing growing reserves, positive fund balances, increasing revenues, and balanced employment costs. These conditions confirm the trust that Clovis residents have placed in their local city government and raise substantial promise for the city of Clovis and our residents moving forward. I like to think of Clovis as local government done well, but it has not been done by accident or with arrogance. What has gotten our community this far and what will take us the next 100 years? Several distinctions come to mind. In the 1960s, Dr. Buchanan began building Clovis Unified on core values of personal responsibility, individual success, and the beliefs that children were our top priority and that every child deserved access to world-class education. He required the highest levels of performance of himself, his staff, and his students. His vision has not only helped our kids attain better lives, productive lives, I understand, but has elevated our entire community. His vision has translated into high standards of performance for our city and helped forge the strong partnership the city and school districts share today. I am not aware of any other district and city around with a standing subcommittee of school board members, council members, and staff to work through our shared interests and challenges. From the best timing for street construction, which we now know is not the first day of school, to school site locations, ways we can engage students in local government, and ways we can keep our kids safe. But we have such a working group in Clovis, and I think we can all see the results and the benefits of that work. Dr. Buchanan's decades of stewardship speak to the value of leadership continuity, a second distinction, and I think the city has benefited from this as well. In our 100 years, we have only had 9 city managers. The current Clovis City Council has a collective 91 years of service. This group today has been together for 10 years since Bob's first election in 2003. We often refer to ourselves as a council of mayors, and I am honored to have another turn at this role. A third distinction involves Harry. And I'd like to take a minute to... He said careful, and this part doesn't count toward the length of my speech, because he's counting and this doesn't count, okay? Okay. A third distinction involves Harry, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about him. Not in the traditional way where we note his position as the longest serving local elected official in the state of California, or tease him about being here when Clovis became a city. You weren't here? Darn it, just about. But in a more serious way, as a continuously engaged leader who daily demonstrates the importance of institutional memory and the value of operating from a basic conviction about what's really important in a community and in our community. Harry has taught all of us that understanding why things have occurred as they have provides great wisdom in staying true to our mission and building our vision with simple, accountable competency for the good of the city and the well-being of our residents. Harry was first appointed to the City Council in 1970 to fill an unexpired term. If I get this wrong, will you correct me? Yes. Oh, he ran in 1970. Oh, whatever. I was close. By my calculations, he has run now maybe 10 times, maybe 11. 11. I have 11 right here. This is my own math here. He's attended approximately 1,505 city council meetings. He's missed a lot of Monday night football games. His Raiders never did well, so that was actually okay. Not to mention the thousands of hours of meetings with the League of California Cities where he was the president, transportation authorities, and water agencies. But I learned something about Harry the other day that I had not known before. I knew that Harry had been a planning commissioner before his appointment or election to the city council, whatever it was. But what I did not know is that he served on the planning commission for 7 years in that capacity. So, my math is close. That takes us back to 1963. I was in the 3rd grade. Joe, you were 5? Joe was 5. And Bob and Nathan weren't even born yet when Harry's service to the community began. So it is fitting that the story of Clovis's 2nd century begins with honoring Harry this morning for his 50 years of public service, I'm going to cry, to this place he loves, a place that we all love, and we all love him. Congratulations, and thank you, Harry, for your service. Okay, now you can start timing my speech, right? Speaking of history, and Harry, a 4th distinction about our community is our commitment to our heritage. Back in the 70s, as we were becoming as known for our schools as for our rodeo, the Clovis community leaders of the day pulled together to reinvent Old Town as a beacon for our heritage. Our leaders knew then that losing our past would be as devastating as not preparing for our future. Today, while we live in a time when many public sector institutions are stymied by political agendas, I am proud to say that Clovis remains driven by a single, clear community agenda. At a time when many communities find their budgets, their leaders, and their ability to deliver basic services overwhelmed with conflict and self-interest, I am proud to say that Clovis continues to hold itself accountable to fundamental standards of performance, value, and service to our residents. At a time when public sector employees are questioned for their productivity, I can say unequivocally that our city employees are the most talented, dedicated, customer service driven anywhere. Our reputation as a city where local government works falls squarely on the shoulders of our amazing staff and management. Over the last 40 years, we've had a vision of what was possible and stayed with that vision when it would have been easier to abandon it for a more immediate gain. We've built on our strengths with our industrial parks and more recently with our technology park, and have worked to be a business-friendly home for all of our local employers, from knowledge-based operations like Schneider, Apple Labs, and Clovis Community Medical Center, to our successful small businesses like Heart's Delight, Nani's House, and Mickey's Yogurt, 3 places I spend a lot of time. In Clovis, we always try to make our community better. An abandoned railroad right-of-way, the perfect place for a trail. No place for kids to go after school. The Clovis Boys and Girls Club was born from an idea from 2 community leaders. A site for an innovative new health sciences university, Clovis had just the spot.